Good morning, crafty friends. Good morning. Welcome to my craft room. My name is Daryl Walter of Pickled Peppers Creative Cafe at pickledpepperscreative.com. Today is Saturday, October 16th, 2025, and you're in my craft room. Good morning. Come on in. How are you? How are you today? Hopefully you're having a fantastic start to your Saturday. Welcome and thank you for being here. For those of you that are new, looks like I have a little ink on my desk. For those of you that are new, Saturdays are the days that I like to come and share something crafty with you and very cute products. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, so most of what you see me use here today will be Stampin' Up products. And I am here to share them with you along with a very cute and different card today. So we're going to be making a fun fold card. We're going to jump into it pretty quickly here. And let's see what else. Well, let's go ahead and get started. As you jump in, let me know if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. Be sure to say hi and chat with me. I love when you chat with me. I will go back if I miss any of your questions or comments after the live, and I'll chat with you below, probably a little bit later today. I do have card class today, so I will be doing that right after we make a cute project today. And then if you have questions or comments that I don't get to, I promise I will respond to them today. So, are you ready to make something cute and fun? Let's get to it. Did you guys have a good week? How was your week? My week, I have to admit, my week was long work-wise. I don't think it was any more strenuous than normal. I think that it just, you know, when you're working full-time, you just kind of are anxious for the weekends always, and that is me a lot of the time. So I was just anxious for the weekend. Yes, Ellen, thank you so much. Today is World Card Making Day. Good morning and happy World Card Making Day. Oh my gosh, why did I let that slip right by me? Yeah, thank you. And we're gonna make a cute card for World Card Making Day. How about that? So anyway, yeah, make sure that you just say hi like Ellen did. Let me know that you're here if you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, and if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, either would be fine. Or if you just want to say hey or a thumbs up or a hi, I'll take those too. All right. I do want to tell you that Stampin' Up has added more products to the last chance list, which means they're going to be retiring. And some of them are discounted. So after, or sometime today, I will get links put into the description above if you want to pop over to the online store and take a look at those products. And one of them I have chosen for today. I actually didn't realize. I planned the project and then I realized that this would be going away. But the last I checked, it is still there, so you can still get it as long as it's available. It is mixed florals, so we have these cute florals. There are no words, so there are no sentiments. So we will need to, if you want a sentiment with today's card, you'll need to pick a stamp set that has a sentiment. And I'll look behind me after we're done with the card and find something cute. But I did want to point that out today. So this is what we're using, mixed florals. And then let's grab the designer series paper. Excuse me. That we're going to be using. It's called Floral Impressions 12 by 12. Look at this yumminess. Do you guys like ombre? I don't know why. I love it. I love the flowing from one color through the rainbow, or even when it's monochromatic and we're going through different shades and hues of the same color. I don't know. That makes me a little happy. So let's take a quick look at the paper that we have. I'm going to try not to pull it all the way out. Let's see, I'll flip it over and then maybe we can flip this way. There we go. You guys see that okay? So it's very florally. I'm making my own words up. As was last week's project. So maybe I'm in a floral mood. I don't know. Look at this. I love sunflowers, so this makes me think of sunflowers. There's some crushed curry and Daffodil Delight. Makes me happy. And we have this piece, and oops, there's the final piece. I don't know, that fresh Freesia and Misty Moonlight with a little Night of Navy. That makes my heart happy too. Stampin' Up does color very, very well. And so I love it. And I love the designer series papers. Anyway, here are the reverse sides. And then if you're looking off to the left, you can see the pattern I chose for today. Pretty, no? Very pretty. I love it. I love it. All right. So guess what? We don't have any die cutting to do today. So we have a unique fold, fun fold kind of a card today, and we're only going to cut paper. So we're not going to do any die cutting, but we do have some coloring to do. So let's go ahead and get cutting, and let me see. I'm going to look at my cheat sheet. Let me see. I think we need this to be 4 by 4. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip. So that means we can get 12 of these cards from this single piece of designer series paper. Let's put this aside, and then I'm going to flip it and cut it at 4 again. So we'll have our 4 by 4 piece. And then off camera, I did go ahead and cut all of the other pieces that we need. I do have the scrap that we have left over from cutting this piece, because I think we're going to use it for the sentiment layer. We will see. So let's put this aside for now, and let's talk about all of the sizes of the pieces that we're going to use today. I have in addition, I have Blackberry Bliss, Fresh Freesia, Basic White cardstock. So we're going to be cutting those. And then in terms of ink, I think we're just going to use the black Memento. Let me grab that out. And I think everything else we're going to be coloring. So I do have a whole trove of Stampin' Blends markers over here. And so I don't think I had Fresh Freesia exactly. So I brought some colors out that I thought would look good. And we do have Blackberry Bliss. So, all right, so let's talk about all of these sizes. So we have a piece of designer series paper. It is 4 by 4. For the inside of our card, we also have a piece of basic white. So it is the regular basic white. Oh, I have one here for good measure. There's one on the inside already. It is 4 by 4, so that's going to go on the inside of our card. And then our card base is Fresh Freesia. I took the piece of 8.5 by 11, and I cut this to 8.5 by 4 1/4, and then scored it at, and then turned it and scored it at 4 1/4. So we have, this shape for the card base. All right, we talked about these. All right, and then for Fresh Freesia, we have another mat that's going to go on our focal piece for the front of our card. It is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And then, let's see, we have a piece of Blackberry Bliss that is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then we have another that is 3 1/8 by 4 5/4. And then we have a piece of basic white that we're going to stamp in color on, and this is 3 by 4 1/2. Let's make sure that I'm right with that. 4 1/2. 1, 2, 3. Yes. All right, so let me kind of tell you how this is going to layer. So we're working with 1/8 of an inch. I know 1/4 of an inch are so much easier, but we have 1/8 of an inch. So can you see how thin that margin is going to be? Let's see. Let's dig out a bone folder. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. And then our card base is here. So I'm going to give you a dry run of how this is going to lay out. We have our Blackberry Bliss. So remember, we're working with thin borders because we have 1/8 of an inch. And then this will place on the front. And then the other two, the matted Blackberry Bliss, and then our basic white that we're going to be stamping on. And then here is where our designer series paper fits. Forgot that in the dry run. We need that too, right? And remember, small margins because we're working with 1/8 of an inch. So if you didn't catch on, each layer that we cut is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the previous one. Beth, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to my craft room. Come on in. Happy Saturday. And as Ellen so graciously reminded me, I don't know how I've forgotten. I thought about it earlier in the week, but today is World Card Making Day, so I think this is a nice, fun fold card for World Card Making Day. It happened by coincidence, Ellen reminded us, and I think it's going to work out perfectly. And so then we have this piece, and we'll have all of our artwork here, and we'll decide whether to pop this up with dimensionals or not, because, you know, I don't like flat things in my world. And then we have two. You only need one for the inside of our card, and I think we might stamp on this a little bit too. So let's go ahead and put all of these, actually let's not. Let's go ahead and mat the pieces that we can, and that way we don't have to worry about them getting lost on my very busy desk. So I'm gonna pull these out. I think I have a little makeup on my hand. Okay. And don't forget, so our card is going to open from top to bottom in A-frame. And so our designer series paper is directional. I just want to point that out. We want to make sure that we get it in the right orientation. Ask me why I would remember to tell you that. There are many times that, or there have been many times that I have gotten something glued perfectly into place, and then I realize that it's upside down or askew or sideways. And I do have to tell you, I am making some mini folios for a craft show and little notebooks, and I got one all done. It had butterflies, so cute. And when I was done, I realized I put pockets on them upside down at the top. So yeah, I admonish you out of my own past and recurrent, it seems, boo-boos. And so I try to be careful. Okay, and then we're gonna stick this right down. Remember those very small margins. I'm okay if it's not exactly perfect. I can let it go and not have it be, or, you know, not have it drive me crazy or be like a thorn in my flesh. But sometimes it does bother me. Sometimes I will deconstruct the project if I can and put it back together. All right. And then we'll go ahead and add these two pieces together. So these are the mats that are going to make the front of our card. And then let's go ahead and do some stamping. And since I have an extra mat for the inside, I'm going to use it for scrap. And we'll stamp our sentiment on that. So, did you notice? I didn't point out, this is really cute. So we have two, I don't know what, bunches of flowers, bundles? Bunch, I think bunch may be right. I don't know. It's going to be bunch. So we have two bunches of flowers that we can choose from. And then we have these extra little flowers that we could add in. And then we have a stem that we can add in. But did you notice? Look at the little ladybugs. Aren't they cute? Aren't they cute? Yes, yes, yes. So there are three little ladybugs, a side view, a top view, and a spread wing view. There we go. So those are cute. If we can squeeze them in, we'll do that as well. And then, let's see, do I have just a hello? I appreciate you. We have that. So I'm looking through my stamps. Oh, there's a thank you, thankful for you. Let's see. Maybe we'll use thankful for you. Okay, I'll put these aside and we'll grab a sentiment later. But let's go ahead and do our stamping now. So remember, I am using the black Memento. And I think these flowers, oh yes, my gosh, you guys, let me show you. They are pretty hefty. They are pretty chunky. You guys know that I love stamp sets that cover a lot of real estate. Let me show you on the inside. Can you see that? Look how big these stamps are. Ooh-hoo, I love it. And so, oops, there's our extra piece. And I think, well, I wasn't going to use the tulips anyway because the flowers that we have aren't very tulipy, but they're almost too big for that little layer that we have. So we're going to use, oh, you have this paper, Ellen. Isn't it pretty? I think that I may have two packs of it. I was looking through my paper a couple of days ago and realized I think that I have 2 packs of this, and there's another that I have 2 packs of. And so that made me really happy. I love this paper. All right, I think that my stamping block, I'm pretty sure that that's probably stays on, which doesn't come off with regular cleaner. Oh no, it's not. Look at that. It's probably Misty Moonlight. I just want to clean it up before we stamp to make sure that we don't get any residuals. And I almost wish I had a piece of paper towel to dry this. Okay, and then black Memento, and this is going to make our background. I love that this is so large. Very, very large. I love it. And I love the wispy, is that what you would call it? Like wildflowers. That's what this reminds me of. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp this right down in the center. I want all of the flowers on there. And actually, while I'm looking at this, let me see if I can show you. Sometimes when you get new stamps, can you see how the ink looks beaded on the stamp there? I think it has to do with the oils and everything during the process. One of the things, or the thing that I like to do, is just take a piece of scrap paper. So this is how you remedy it, or this is how I remedy it. I'm sure there are other ways, but I just scrub the stamp itself right on the paper a few times. And let's see if that worked. We'll put our little scrap away. Our love scrap, but it still has use. All right, let's try it again. Let's see if it's any better. Oh, it's a little better. I think it needs a little more scrubbing, but we'll go ahead and go for it. So we're going to put this right down. I want to make sure that I get all the flowers on it and right in the center. And you guys, I can't tell you again how enamored I am with how large these flowers are. Look at that. Woohoo. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of coloring. So that being said, I am gonna pull colors from the designer series paper, and Strawberry Slush is the color of the larger flower that we have here. Can you see it? And then there's fresh Freesia, there's some crushed curry. We're gonna use Daffodil Delight because we're using Stampin' Blends markers. And I want to say that green is, let's see, Stampin' Up will tell us what the green is. The green is garden green, and there is some old olive in there too. So that green is garden green. Let me see, take a look and see if we have garden green. I'm not sure if I have garden green. I don't remember having garden green. Yeah, I don't see garden green. I do see lemon lime twist, which I think that's going to be a bit too bright. So we'll go with the old olive. That works. It works for now. All right. So I have for Stampin' Blends, I have Blackberry Bliss, and the other color I think is Berry Burst. Oh, I have Petunia Pop. So if you're not familiar with Stampin' Blends markers, they do come as a set of two. There's a light and a dark of each color. And then if you look at the nibs, there's a rounded nib and a brush tip for each of them too. So if you are not a colorer like me, I am not a colorist, I should say, by profession. The thing that I like to do that always seems to be kind of forgiving is to go along, and I'm using the Blackberry Bliss, but is to go along the lines with the darker color and fill in with the lighter color. So that's what I'm gonna do here. Nothing technical. Like I said, I'm not a professional colorist. I just kind of do what works for me. And you notice that I'm only going on one side of the flower. You could go on both. And if you have taken any blending classes, or classes where you learn how to use alcohol-based ink markers, you may have tips and info that I don't have. And I'll tell you too, I'm a little bit, okay, this is a secret. I'm a little bit impatient, and so when things take a long time, I shy away from them. All right, so I'm just going to take the lighter Blackberry Bliss and that brushed tip that we talked about, and I am just going to scrub over the top of the flowers. And so I'm going right over the dark line that I made. And the places that I'm being careful is when there are other flowers nearby. If you haven't used alcohol ink markers before, they do move, which means they kind of bleed outside of the area that you apply them. And so I'm being cognizant of that as I'm coloring. But I do like, can you see how quickly this is going? Oh boy, can you see I got a little bit out of the line there? Being a little too carefree, but that's okay. That's okay. It kind of reminds me of watercolor, so I don't get hung up on that unless it's really, unless I make a huge boo-boo. Do any of you use alcohol ink markers? I just like how they do the blending just by coloring over what you've already colored over, and you don't have to do any extra work. So you can, but you don't have to. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing for the stamens that we have there. So I have here Dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to go with that rounded tip around one side, and I'm going around the side where Stampin' Up! Has added the detail. I have had a little bit of art, and I do know that shading is important from the aspect of the light source. So if the light is shining this way, then you'll have, you know, darker hues towards the light. But it's okay with me. It's okay. All right, and then our little flowers, I wonder if we could use pink. Well, let's take a look. I have Dark and Light Highland Heather, which is actually purple, but I think we can get away with it. So all of our little flowers here, I'm just using the light Highland Heather, and so that we're not here all day, I'm not going to make it two-tone. I'm just going to take that rounded nib and color in the tiny flowers that we have here. This works perfectly. So these are Highland Heather. If you have Highland Heather and this paper, and you don't have fresh Freesia stamping blends, this is a good cheat. You can really totally get away with it. I think we're getting away with it pretty good. All right, and then the last thing that we have to do is color our leaves. And so before I color them in, and I picked out Old Olive for that, I'm going to grab that inside mat, and I'm also going to grab the sprig that we have here. We're going to put that little sprig on the inside. So let's grab this right off, and let's stamp this down using the black Memento. I wonder if this is going to be bubbly because you know, have beads on it. Oh, let's put it on this side. No, we'll put it on this side. I don't want it to look like a cornstalk. Let's kind of angle it. Okay, perfect. And then it will go this way. Our sentiment will go this way. And then we'll put all of these blends away. Let's make some room on our desktop. And for this one, I think on a few of the leaves, so we have them on each piece to use, I think that I will add the dark in just a couple of places. Just a couple on the larger leaves. And once again, I just want to remind you guys, I'm not a professional colorist. So I just kind of do my own thing. But like I said, I love the alcohol-based ink markers because they allow me to do my own thing, and they make me look good. They make me look good. All right, and then we'll color these in really quickly. And I'll use the rounded nib because I'm afraid of going too far out of the lines with the brush tip, but the brush tip is it's the one I prefer because it covers a lot of real estate pretty quickly, and it helps me to get the coloring done without a lot of fuss. So I think, what have we taken here? Maybe 6 or 7 minutes. I'm not sure what that is. And maybe not even 6 or 7 minutes. maybe closer to 4 or 5 minutes to color this in. Of course, when you're coloring, you'll probably want to be a little more careful than I'm being here. And if I were coloring alone and you guys weren't hanging out with me in my craft room, I might even take a little more time then, but I doubt it. I doubt it. And I love coloring too, so it's not that I don't. Just has its time and place in my world. But anyways, yeah, the blend markers make life so much easier. See that? We're done. And it wasn't a marathon. Look at all that we colored in that time. Nice, right? All right, so let's go ahead and bring in our card front again. And we're gonna add this colored piece right down to the mats we made earlier. You guys, this is a really easy to recreate card. So you could crank several of these out. You could even get into your stash of stamps and inks and cut a bunch of coloring mats and go to town, and then you'd have them for later when you're ready to make cards and do the rest of it, right? Okay, so I think we are gonna use Dimensionals to put this up. And then let me tell you too, we're gonna stay about, so it's centered and about 3/4 of an inch or so from the bottom. And here's another cheat. So I think we have on a regular envelope, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5. So we want to stay under that. I think that's about 3/4 of an inch that we have to play with there. Let me tell you. Yeah, and actually closer to a 1/2 inch. So between 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch, that's where we're gonna let this land. But before we do that, let's decide on our sentiment and let's stamp it down, and then we'll just cut it out. Do I want to say many thanks or I appreciate you? Let's see how big the many thanks is. Okay, let's do the many thanks. So grab a block. See if this one is big enough. Oh, well, it is if we go askew. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment down with Memento ink. That's a tongue twister. Sentiment down with Memento ink. Let's turn this over since we drew on it a little. And I'm just going to stamp this right in the middle. Maybe I'll make it a banner. It's one of my favorite things to do. There we go. And we're just going to cut this out. Ooh, I like that. Do you see that many thanks? Let me tell you where that's from. That is from Gathering Moments. I like it. Let's get that out of the way. And then we're just gonna cut this down. Let's see, can I cut it to 1 inch? Let's cut it to 1 inch. And then we'll trim it a little bit on the other side. See if we can get it closer to 3/4 of an inch. No, I'm afraid to do that. We'll just take a sliver off. It's not gonna matter. There we go. And I'll cut this down in a minute, but let me tell you, remember that scrap of designer series paper that we had? Well, we're gonna cut that down to about, do we want 3/4 of an inch? Let's cut it down to 1/2 inch. We're gonna use a 1/2 inch strip. Let's see if that works. Oh, our paper flew away. All right, we'll get this out of the way. We'll finish our card up here. We'll just decide what we're gonna do here. So I'm gonna cut this down to 3 1/4 of an inch. Bring that trimmer back in. I can't eyeball 3 1/4 of an inch. I could if I had something to go by, but all right. Let's put this aside again. So I think what we're gonna do is we'll attach here. We'll put this here. Let's try cutting this down to a banner. If you haven't cut a banner before without a punch, you make a little, and I think we did this not that long ago. Let's see, make that straight. You put a little slice here in the center, and then you take your scissors and go from let's flip it over. Can you see that? And then we're going to go from this corner to the split that we made. There we go, and we have a banner. And let's do it to the other side. We'll do it to this side as well. Once again, I'm going to make a little slit, and then corner to corner. Did you notice how I turned it over to cut the other side? I'm more comfortable that way, I think. All right, let's see if this looks right. Ta-da, I like it. Okay, let's commit to it. We'll put this down, and then we'll pop the completed mat right down to the center of our card. I'm being a little careful with this because I think that placement does matter. We don't want to hang over the edge too much. There we go. And let's grab some dimensionals, and we'll pop up our sentiment right over the mat that we made, and I'll show you up close in just a second. Let's bring this back down into frame. And we'll pop this right up in the center. Very good. And then let's pop this down with dimensionals. So I'm using dimensionals. I'm not gonna notice that I'm not gonna go towards the top of the card, because the top of this card will be hanging off, remember? And we don't want dimensionals hanging in the air, because then the card will be sticky. So can you see where I put them? I started about 1/3 of the way down. And we'll just get the backings off. We'll put the inside of our card in, and voila. So remember, this is gonna land somewhere about 1/2 inch from that bottom edge. Isn't this a fun fold? You guys love this? Very happy card, very happy card. Let's flip this right over and add some adhesive to the back of our inner mat, and we are done. Let's make sure I know where the back is. After all of that work and the discussion about placing things in the correct position, I want to make sure that we don't end with a bang. We end with a good bang. That's what we want, right? Okay, there we have it. So let's talk about what we used today. Remember that sentiment that I nabbed came from the Gathering Moments. And then the stamp set that we used is the Mixed Florals. We used Stampin' Blends markers, so we used Old Olive, Highland Heather, Blackberry Bliss, and Daffodil Delight. And then our designer series paper, we used the Floral Impressions 12 by 12. You guys, this paper is so cool. It is so cool. All right. that's my share for you. And if you want, you can add embellishments to this too. I don't know, that stamp is so pretty. And remember, it is on last chance. I saw that a couple of days ago. So I looked last night, I believe. It's still in the store, and I'll get a link placed so you can pop over and look at all the products that are there or what's in the online store. Okay, thank you guys so much for hanging out in my craft room with me. Let me know if you like our fun fold card here. And I will see you next week. Plans are for Saturday. So thank you so much, guys, for spending your time with me. Have a fantastic weekend, a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.